The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. I see it, I deduce it. How do I know that you have been getting yourself very wet lately, and that you have a most clumsy and careless servant girl? My dear Holmes, said I, this is too much. You would certainly have been burned had you lived a few centuries ago. It is true that I had a country walk on Thursday and came home in a dreadful mess, but as I have changed my clothes, I can't imagine how you deduce it. As to Mary Jane, she is incorrigible, and my wife has given her notice, but there again I fail to see how you work it out. He chuckled to himself and rubbed his long, nervous hands together. It is simplicity itself, said he. My eyes tell me that on the inside of your left shoe, just where the firelight strikes it, the leather is scored by 6 almost parallel cuts. Obviously, they have been caused by someone who has very carelessly scraped around the edges of the sole in order to remove crusted mud from it. Hence you see my double deduction that you have been out in vile weather, and that you had a particularly malignant boot-slitting specimen of the London slavery. As to your practice, if a gentleman walks into my room smelling of iodoform with a black mark of nitrate of silver upon his right forefinger and a bulge on the right side of his top hat to show where he has secreted his stethoscope, I must be dull indeed if I do not pronounce him to be an active member of the medical profession. I could not help laughing at the ease with which he explained his process of deduction. Digging into Skinwalker Ranch by Ryan Skinner and Cheryl Lynn Carter. As you begin to delve deeper into the clandestineness of the land, you will find that you have crossed some sort of invisible line that is a point of no return. Before you realize, you will become one with it, and the course of your life will be changed forever. It leaves you speechless, and yet turns you into a storyteller, because when you leave, you carry a part of it wherever you go. This place is endowed with knowledge from many cultures that is intrinsically tied to the earth, knowledge it might be willing to only share with a few. How many had come to this place in pursuit of a dream, only to have realized something else? And yet there are those who will always continue digging into Skinwalker Ranch. The Hellborn King Saga, Book 1, by Christopher Brenning.
Remember the bloodbath at Borgifa? Of course you do. All of you Berthold underlings know the tale. The gods have demanded justice, and I am their champion.
The stench of death hung heavy over the killing grounds, thick and stagnant in the summer heat. It wasn't the first time Alfred Valens had seen a dead body. It was a soldier's duty to make as many of them as possible, after all.
Oh, God. Looks like they were right.
Eric coughed, shielding his nose with the back of his hand.
What sort of brigands would do something like this and not take a single thing off the bodies?
Alfred pondered out loud.
You know these Northmen, they like to kill for sport.
Eric replied. Alfred grunted. There was some truth to what he said. The barbarian tribes were more akin to animals than men. Dracula by Bram Stoker.
Take care how you cut yourself. It is more dangerous than you think in this country. Then, seizing the shaving glass, he went on. And this is the wretched thing that has done the mischief. This is a foul bauble of man's vanity. Away with it! And opening the window with one wrench of his terrible hand, he flung out the glass, which was shattered into 1,000 pieces on the stones of the courtyard far below. Then he withdrew without a word.
Staged by Elsie Bear.
Fuck! I missed me opening bar. Never ever have I done that before. Never.
And I've performed whilst high as a kite, drunk as a fucking skunk and hung over as a student in Freshers' Week. Plus, while battling a sickness bug, waist deep in grief, heartbreak, everything. My mind is frozen, totally blank. This is worse than when I did that dodgy sniff of coke and forgot my own fucking name. Lyrics run around me head. I chase them, but it's as if I'm trapped in a maze. I can't reach them. I lick my lips, paste on my charming smile and hold out the microphone towards the adoring fans. But now I've completely skipped the first 3 lines of our debut single, a song I wrote at 16 years of age, the lyrics to which I've tattooed on me fucking arm. I know these words in several languages off by heart, backwards, anagrammed, you name it. I know these words, yet now, nothing. I'm not even that drunk. The Tale of Mrs. Tiggywinkle by Beatrix Potter.
Oh, yes. They're little dicky shirt fronts belonging to Tom Titmouse. Most terribly particular,
said Miss Tiggywinkle.
Now, I've finished my ironing. I'm going to air some clothes. Yes.
What are those dear, soft, fluffy things? Said Lucy.
Oh, those are woolly coats belonging to the little lambs at Skelgill.
Simply Keynes by Roger Backhouse. John Maynard Keynes, 1883 to 1946, was the most influential economist of the mid-20th century. He changed the way the world thought about economic problems and how those problems could be solved. For around 30 years after the Second World War, it was widely believed that, by using Keynesian theories, it was possible for governments to manage the economy so as to achieve full employment, avoiding the mass unemployment that had scarred the interwar period. Maintaining approximately full employment and securing rapid economic growth made possible European welfare states, and the United States became what the economist and popular writer John Kenneth Galbraith called the affluent society. Keynes was so influential that it became common to refer to these decades as the Age of Keynes, or the Keynesian era. Keynesianism was not just an economic theory or even a set of policy prescriptions. It became a social and political philosophy. Og Grim Dog by Jamie Edmondson.
Are you Og Grim Dog, the 3-headed ogre?
Asked the goblin. Do you see any other 3-headed ogres around here? Asked Dog rather impolitely. Grim sighed. There was no need to be rude, and sarcasm was wasted on goblins. It was now looking around the cavern for other 3-headed ogres.
Yes, that's us, said Grim. Gary, isn't it?
The goblin grinned, pleased that Grim knew his name.
I bring a message from...
Wait a moment, interrupted Dog. Your name is Gary. Why? By the 3 circles of fiery Gehenna. Is your name Gary? Grim felt Og wake from his snooze next to him. Oh, stop persecuting Gary, Og demanded drowsily. Persecuting him? I'm not persecuting him. I'm just asking why he's changed his name. He had a perfectly good name. What was your name, son? He asked the goblin.
Graviax Grum,
the goblin answered promptly. Exactly, a perfectly good name, said Dog, though Grim detected a hint of doubt in his voice now. A perfectly good goblin name. Gary just sounds ridiculous. He changed his name, said Og, now fully awake and getting louder. Because goblins are discriminated against. The system has forced him to take a human name. Don't blame the victim.